Hey all, here are OS Reviews. Today we're taking a closer look at PadMate's Pamu Quiet Mini. These are TWS wireless buds, which as part of the Quiet series offers active noise cancellation, a feature that is just increasingly common. Now if you guys recall, just a while back we did a review on the Pamu Quiets, which looked like this. Reminded me of a pocket watch that has a distinctive shape to it and has this synthetic leather material. Just felt very premium. Definitely a flagship grade pair of buds. So the minis aren't necessarily smaller in terms of size. In fact, the sound quality and the buds themselves are almost identical. The only difference is the battery case, which has a more conventional plastic build and a more regular shape, and as a result they're able to cut down on costs this time. So this version will sell for around $40 less. In terms of, again, specs though, they are very similar to before, including access to Bluetooth 5.2 as well as hybrid active noise cancellation that can block out up to 40 decibels, which is one of the highest numbers that you'll find out of a pair of wireless buds at the moment. The industry standard is around 30 to 35, and there's also a low latency gaming mode, which is awesome. And just like before, the casing also supports Qi wireless charging pads. Finally, they also have a companion app now, so you can even connect it and further tweak and customize these settings. Inside here, we have just the Quiet Minis on top. And then accessories are inclusive of a carrying pouch, user manual, as well as a USB Type-C charging cable. Finally, we have all the spare silicone tips also organized here that you can get a more snug fit. Taking a look at the battery case here, it's still very clean and there's kind of a shiny Pamu logo. There's also an ANC stamp on the front, which I'm not sure I'm the biggest fan of, but overall it still looks quite clean. And again, on the side here we have the Type-C port for charging, and that is pretty much it. So very simple. The door here can flip open, and after you open it up, basically the buds are ready to pair and connect with your device. In terms of overall dimensions, it is a touch smaller than the regular Quiets, as you can see there side by side, and they are significantly lighter as well. Although we do lose some of the fun touches like the aforementioned glowing light ring, and on here it's going to be just a lot more traditional and simple. So minus some of those fun touches, we are just getting a cheaper cost, but still having really the same sound quality for the buds themselves on the inside. And here's a look at the wireless charging in action. The casing here takes about an hour and a half to fully charge, and they have a conventional shape with a slight stem to them with a LED indication light that is on the outer edges. The stem here is touch sensitive just like before, allowing us to control things like playing and pausing as well as volume adjustment, and overall it works quite well. This is a very ergonomic fitting pair of buds, so I was able to run, walk, move around, and they still stayed in place quite well without feeling loose or anything like that. There is a microphone pointing towards your mouth at the stem, just like before, so you can have a pretty accurate phone call, and there is some background noise cancellation going on as well, so call quality is also above average, I'd say. Now here's a quick comparison with the buds that came again with the regular Quiets, which do look super familiar, and that's because the buds from these essentially also fit into the casing of the Quiet Minis. Perhaps one slight difference though would be the texture, and that is it. The original Quiets had a slightly more matte surface to them versus the new model has a more glossy paint job, but again, everything in terms of the design as well as the size and weight are identical. I'd say that's a good thing overall since I really enjoyed the sound quality on the originals. We'll talk about that in more detail in a moment, but also for the battery case being lighter is also good since it's going to be easier to take with you when traveling, considering the originals were a little on the bulky side. But as a whole, these are good enough to just pop into a pocket. Companion application works for all of PadMate's wireless buds, including older generation models as well, and it's very easy to connect simply just by taking them out of the casing. And in terms of what you can control, it includes the different noise cancellation effects such as the transparency mode, which is reverse ANC. It will magnify the noises around you so you can have a conversation without removing the buds. And then under settings, what you're able to do is take a look at the battery percentage remaining on the different sides, if there's any firmware updates, as well as customization of what the clicks will do. So double tap as well as press and hold can trigger different things, whether it's volume adjustment, skipping tracks, as well as other commands you can see here, giving you more flexibility, which is great. Overall, it's simple but gets the job done, and there's also a gaming mode again that you can trigger under other settings. So if you flick this on, what it does is enter a low latency mode, allowing you to play back games. The music quality will slightly decrease, but the transmission lag will also decrease as well. Despite the more utilitarian design of the casing, the sound quality remains as good as ever. That's a huge plus because the original Pamu Quiets are still one of the best sounding pair of wireless buds that I've tried out, on similar territory with the Anker Soundcore Liberty Air 2 Pros along with QCY HT01s. All three of these, including the Pamu Quiets, have some of the best sound for wireless buds under $200 in my opinion. In terms of just being super dynamic, filled with life and detail, there's a great kick and punch in terms of the lower frequencies, so if you love rumbly bass, you'll definitely love these. And at the same time though, it's not overpowering or out of control. Although it's very satisfying whenever a drum beat hits, you still get plenty of detail within the mids and trebles. So you can still delineate between textures of a singer's voice as well as different layers of instruments that are being played. It almost feels like you're using larger headphones at times and truly brings the music to life. Now the active noise cancellation then also works pretty much exactly the same as the originals did, which is also a good thing. They are one of the more effective pairs when it comes to blocking out noise, especially in lower frequency situations, such as with fan noises and engine sounds. They get almost completely repressed, so they will allow you to listen to music in more comfort. With higher frequency sounds like voices of people next to you, sometimes they can still creep in, but overall I would say they do a great job and are almost on par with what the AirPod Pros and other more flagship grade ANC buds will deliver. In terms of connectivity, it was also very stable, so I never got disconnected, never was out of sync with each other. I could watch videos, including YouTube and Netflix, skip tracks, play and pause, and everything was just working flawlessly without any problems, so great connectivity as well as low latency experience overall. So that is more or less it as far as our quick review of the new Pamu Quiet Minis. Again, in terms of sound as well as the drivers and the buds themselves, in fact, what's clever is just like with some of the other buds from this company, they're just reusing it, since from the get-go they designed drivers which sounded excellent and doesn't really require fixing. Don't fix what's not broken, right? However, this time they just made a casing which is cheaper to manufacture, and maybe it's not as cool looking as the originals, but it's more compact, it's lighter, and it really reduces the price by quite a lot, which does make them more competitive in terms of pricing. So still one of the best value ANC buds in terms of sound quality and performance that you can find. You can check out more details if you're interested in the links down below. For now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.